Hello girlies and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor. I'm the founder and designer of NYGC by Taylor, or Not Your Grandma's Crochet, and this is everything that I crocheted and needlepointed in 2024. I'm going to preface this by saying that I would classify myself as a part-time crochet artist. My business, NYGC by Taylor, I do sell made-to-order pieces on my website. Additionally, all of my pieces are free-handed. I did not use any patterns or tutorials for anything that I showed right now. They all came out of my brain. I do, however, have progress vlogs for pretty much all the designs, so if you want to see kind of like my thought process behind making things plus the chaos that was 2024, check out some of my older videos. Let's get started with the try on. I'm committed to trying on every single piece except for the bikinis, and I will have like a more detailed video slash photo of every piece on this side. Let's get started. My first project of 2024 were these pants. I finished it, I believe, like within the first few days of 2024, and if you know the lore behind them, they took me about 2-ish years to really complete. I started on them technically in 2020 when I was first interested in the idea of a crochet pant, but I was kind of like unraveling off and on, and it wasn't until about the spring of 2022-ish that I got really serious about them and kind of just chugged away at them. December 2023, I decided to commit, and here we have these pants. I will say they are very comfortable. I would love to wear them more. However, because I was working on them for so long, my body has kind of fluctuated size-wise. The fit at the top is kind of more of a loungy fit, and so I feel like I want to redo the legs of the pants to match the more loungy fit of the top. I also want to add a slightly thicker waistband slash elastic to it, just to be able to keep it up better, and add a tie. You'll see a future pair that I made towards the end of 2024 that I kind of want to play around with more, but these pants were my biggest hit of this year. They're kind of the reason why I have as many subscribers on YouTube as I do, so thank you to you guys who subscribed during that time period. And I definitely want to make the pants a thing for my business, but I wouldn't say these are exactly perfect. However, I mean, the flare is kind of that girl. There was a little bit of debate as to whether these were flares or bell bottoms. I'm still standing 10 toes down on the fact that these are flares, but I guess it's open to interpretation. I will also add that part of the reason why these pants were such a discussion point for my business were because of the price that I listed them for. I didn't exactly time it, but based on other pants that I've made, I can guesstimate that these took me about 80 hours. So when the girls saw that I was selling them for $960, they were kind of shocked. Do I think someone would pay $960 for these particular pants? No, because they have some kinks to work out. But was I standing 10 toes down on the fact that should I sell made-to-order versions of these pants, that they would cost $960? Absolutely. And the girls were shook by that, but you get to working 80 hours on it. And if you're curious, me prefacing everything, the reason why a lot of my pieces take the amount of time that they do is because typically I'm using a 3mm, even a 2mm hook in some instances, and I prefer to stay around a weight 3-ish yarn or really light weight 4 yarn. I do have a few things that are more of like a weight 4-ish yarn, but I really love a delicate piece that is like a basic essential item and is made out of crochet but doesn't look like crochet in the way that we know it, because I'm not your grandma's crochet. After I finished the pants, I was kind of at a loss for what to do, and I kind of made a few failed projects that I eventually unraveled towards the end of January, beginning of February. But then I decided this is the year that I'm going to re-release NYGC Swim. More lore. If I'm going to do that, I need to give myself plenty of time to get these samples done. We have this beautiful piece. This is a mesh maxi skirt. I have been obsessed with maxi skirts for the past 2-ish years, and I knew I always wanted to make a crochet version, and this one is just perfect to me. Well, not this one. She does have some kinks that I will fix, but the idea of the skirt is perfect to me. It's very easy to slip on. I did in fact get to bring her to the beach a few times over the summer. It was the perfect thing to put over my bikini bottoms, but even just wearing out to events with my family, dinner with my friends, it made for a really nice spring / summer piece. I also feel like because of the mesh paneling, the way that I do it, it's not super transparent, but it's also not opaque, so you can see the difference between the regular double crochet versus the mesh, but you also aren't exposing a lot of skin. I think some people might say it might be more worth it to have a more open mesh. It will be faster for sure, but for me and how I like to dress, while I wouldn't consider myself modest, I do like practical items of clothing, and having this type of silhouette / mesh is very practical for me, though it does eat up a bit more time, but it's worth it for the look. I don't know. After I finished the skirt, I definitely wanted a faster project, and I just wanted to start dipping my toes in some of the top ideas that I have for this collection, and that is how this beautiful mesh halter top was born. You can kind of see a better idea of how the mesh lays. This is the same mesh that's used throughout this collection that you'll see both in the pink skirt as well as future pieces that you'll see. I really love the fit of this top. I love the kind of like wider neck halter. The only thing I'm not super obsessed is the back part. I do have more places to lace it up, but the tie that I made was too short and I never fixed it throughout the year. Where I kind of don't love this top as much is the fact that I was starting to run out of yarn, so I introduced the pink color, which is cute. However, I'm definitely more of a monochrome girl, and I feel like if the pink, which I don't even know how much you can see, if the pink was showcased somewhere else in the top, I feel like it would make more sense, but it very much so gives she was running out of yarn, so she switched over to the pink. I definitely will be making more of these tops, and I do want to incorporate it in a collection that I hope to launch sometime soon. However, I think the destiny of this top is another design that I'll show you later on, but she is very cute. She was very quick, which is something that I like in terms of balancing the price point on my website, and I do love a back out moment. Worth it, but not perfect. Going along with the pink theme is my first needlepoint project of the year, which was this cutesy little clutch size NYGC handbag with all of these crochet flowers stitched on. She is very cute. She is very cute. I especially love the front and the sides. I feel like the back could use some reorganizing, and she's definitely like, you know, she is that girl. She has the potential to be that girl, but similarly to this top and to the skirt, there's just an element of like, I don't know. And I feel like you're gonna hear that for a lot of the pieces at the beginning of this year. I would say the things I was making between February and July, because of the headspace that I was in my personal life, I was very much so on to something, but I things weren't quite clicking for me creatively, and you're gonna see that in the next few pieces. But in terms of this one, I think it's a good idea. It's something I will definitely play with in the future, but I wasn't proud of her enough to list her on my website or anything. So she goes into the pile of samples, and that's okay. Everyone can't be a winner, but I mean, she's kind of cute. Also in this time period, I completed my first bikini of the year, and I'm so pleased and proud of her. The top I had technically finished in 2023, but the bottoms were something that I had been playing around with for, I don't know, 6 or so months. It's so difficult to make a practical bikini bottom. I feel like crochet bikini tops, I will say, are slightly more challenging for me as I am a bit bustier, but they are figure outable. A bikini bottom, on the other hand, it's pretty difficult. If you do follow any tutorials, I feel like a lot of the girls will be like, this is more so for tanning. It's not meant to be necessarily the most practical for actually wearing in the water. And I am a girl who does love to be in the water sometimes. I like to tan also, but I also like to be in the water. And if I'm going to wear my bikini to the pool or the beach, I want to feel like if I go in the water and splash around a little bit, I'm gonna be okay. So figuring out a design specifically for the bottom that will stay on your hips, especially as a girl who does have a little bit of a tummy, she was a challenge. What I ended up with is a very slight V waistline bikini with this really cool kind of like double tie sort of feature on the side that really makes it like stick around your hips. This is not really a cheeky pair. I would say this is more on the fuller coverage side, and she's amazing. The only thing wrong was I need to make the beginning crotch bit about an inch longer for it to fit me perfectly, but even at its current length, I was very comfortable wearing it. I didn't feel like it was slipping down, and I did actually wear these in the water. They weren't too heavy when I got out. They dried pretty quickly. Just know, when I do eventually release NYGC Swim, all the pieces very tried and tested, even for the girls who like to play in the water. I will say I'm very proud of this set. Speaking more on the top, I like this top because even though I'm busty, it's still one of those tops that I can wear in, like, you know, all the different configurations a la 2020. I did it on like a sort of slider situation, and I'm hoping that when I eventually release this, to also release it with a additional strap that you can slide on. So if you want to wear it as like a, you know, 2 strap sort of situation, you can do that also. We're all about functionality here at NYGC. While I did have a few not quite hits during this period of time, this was 1000% a hit, and you will 100% see me making more of these this year. Around the same time that the blue pants had started to go viral, I ended up posting them in March, even though I'd completed them in January. But at that time, I was working on these purple pants. These are kind of like my attempt at a more summer friendly pant, as I knew the blue ones would be slightly too thick / warm because of the yarn that I used. These I used a weight 3 yarn, still a 3mm hook, and it does have the same mesh detailing as the pink skirt and the mint top. Now, some things about her. I have reworked these pants 2 times this year. You will see 2 separate videos of me trying to conquer these pants. The first time, they were nearly perfect. I really liked how loose / loungy the fit was. However, I think they were a little short, and I didn't like the length differences between the mesh portion and the regular crochet portions. So during the summer, also during my flop era, I ended up redoing them, but when I redid them, they're just a bit tight in a way that I don't necessarily love. I also don't necessarily love how the proportions are currently. I did wear them in Hawaii, as you'll see here, and so I can see the vision, but I think a nice loose fit with a better proportioned leg sort of situation that has a more loungy fit, so not tight to the leg, one will just feel a lot better wearing to the pool, to the beach. These were very breathable when I was wearing them in Hawaii, and it was quite warm in Hawaii. However, having a material that's not so tight fitting on your leg when you're already sweating because it's warm, I think will be nice. And two, I just think overall it'll complement the pants better. Another thing that I want to add is I want to add elastic to the waist as well as the tie, just because the pants themselves will be slightly looser fitting. I want to make sure that the waistband is very tight and cinching and supportive of your looser pant. In general though, these are a very lightweight pant. They were fairly easy to travel with. I just want to make sure that the fit on the legs looks and feels how I envisioned, and currently does not, despite the 2 attempts. So stay tuned. I will be posting a video sometime early this year where I am once again remaking these pants, and I think I'm gonna remake them from square one just so that we can completely clear the bad juju that these pants apparently have on them. This was actually kind of a sleeper piece for me in the sense that when I initially designed it, even though I did design it in the spring, I want to say maybe like mid to late April, it would have been the perfect weather to wear it. And even during the summer, I didn't really gravitate towards it. It wasn't until around October and November, strangely enough, I live in Atlanta though, that I was really reaching to wear it. Not for any particular reason, but when I was making this cardigan, I initially was trying to make a dress with this yarn. However, I was using like a 2.5mm hook, and I was trying to go for this design that I do hope to one day make happen, but it just didn't end up being with this yarn. After that, I was like, when I was making the purple pants, I was like, it would be fun to give the purple pants a matching cardigan sort of situation, but I wanted to test it in a different yarn color before I committed to doing the whole purple look. I ended up using this yellow yarn instead of for the dress for this cardigan. This is a mesh iteration of a piece that I already sell. That's the tied up cardigan. It comes in a cropped and mid-length, and I feel like this length is like the perfect sort of like in between, where it's kind of more like shirt-y. I wouldn't say it's necessarily, it's pretty much full length is what I would say. It's not really cropped. It does go to like past your hips, probably like right at your butt, and it's not quite full length. The only things that I do plan to change are the collar. I have now started doing my collars a little bit different, and so I want to match this one. Also the buttons. Up until fall of this year, I would always have real buttons, but I would use snaps as the thing that actually acts as the closure, and now I'm switching back to just making buttons with buttonholes, just because I feel like the snaps are a little bit played out. Currently there's like 4 buttons on this, and I feel like if we brought the buttons closer together, a 5th button would be perfect. That's pretty much my only critique. The ties might be ever so slightly long, but I don't necessarily think that they're too long. So if you're a watcher of my channel, you'll know that with this design, I often have issues with the length of the ties, but I actually don't hate this length. So I really don't have too many complaints. That's why I wasn't understanding why I wasn't really reaching for it in the spring/summer. But with a clearer brain, I do think this was actually a pretty solid design, and with the brief changes that I mentioned, I think it'll be perfect. I did just want to take a moment to say that I know I don't or haven't really been talking about the yarn, mostly because this past year was very much so trying to use up my stash, and while I was working on a collection to sell eventually, the yarn that I was using wasn't necessarily my focus, in the sense that the weight of the yarn was very important to me, but what yarn I was using wasn't necessarily. I was really trying to do my best of just using what was in my stash. So my projects were planned out kind of by yarn color, in the sense of how much of that color I have, so whether I could make a maxi skirt versus a cardigan. But besides that, there wasn't too much thought towards the yarn, so sorry if you're looking for that type of content. Also in this beautiful sunshiny yellow color is this clutch size NYGC handbag, which is a size that's now available on my website. I loved this bag, still love it, but especially during the spring, summer, and fall, she was my main squeeze. I love this color. It works so well with like whites and denims and blues. I love her. I also really love the size. This was the initial size that the mini NYGC handbag was going to be, but I was kind of not sure how practical this thickness was. But I find that if I'm literally just popping out, running to the grocery store, going to dinner with my friends, not doing anything where I'm carrying a lot of stuff, and I'm definitely not really bringing a project with me, just having something that almost acts as a wallet, hence why I call it the clutch size, is perfect. It fits my phone. There's a pocket on the inside for me to put all my cards. I can put my keys, my lip gloss, not too many needs. However, you can actually fit quite a bit. People have fit their wallets and bigger sets of keys. I don't know. I feel like the size is highly underrated. I don't do the best job. I haven't done the best job marketing what can fit in here, and I will work on that this year. But just know, she might look small, but she is mighty, and she is so adorable in this color, which isn't even available on my website. But technically, if you really want any color, just message me. This was a success for sure, because it encouraged me to add this size as an option on my website, and I'm forever grateful for that. Here is our first mini skirt of the video. I am definitely a mini skirt girl. I just find them very cutesy. I'm no stranger to a crochet mini skirt. I wanted one that was made out of a very thin, lightweight yarn that could be worn as a cover up at the pool, but also could be styled in a regular outfit. I don't necessarily love this one in the white color. I'm not sure how much you can see, but it is slightly see-through, which is a no-no for my clothes. Even though they're made out of crochet, I want them as not see-through as possible. And strangely enough, this white yarn is a bit more see-through than I'm used to. She didn't necessarily get the wear that I was hoping she would get this year. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep her as a mini skirt or repurpose her for something else that maybe is more okay to be see-through. We shall see, but I do like the idea of the skirt. There are some tweaks that I will talk about with the next skirt, but overall, she's cute. Definitely love the length, and if you watch the video that I made the skirt in, she was a journey. To match my mini skirt, of course, I had to make a cute little bikini. I think I actually made the bikini before the skirt. This top I actually made at the beginning or towards the end of 2022 when I released my debut collection, the collection that's currently on my website. I really wanted to include a sort of bralette situation, and this was going to be her, but she did not quite meet my standards at the time. I finished her up this year and I love, this is probably between the caramel colored bikini top and this top. This is my preferred one, especially as a bustier person. I like that from the front, I'm very much so in. I don't have to worry too much about the shoulders slipping off, though I do plan to taper this a little bit more so that the straps start about here to prevent any potential tapering off, especially as I expand to like larger cup sizes. But I really love the back detail. I love that it's fairly adjustable, and if you do have a larger top, a larger chest, and you don't feel comfortable with this, you know, cleaner two-strap back, you can crisscross it for even more locked in support. And I really love how the bottom tie runs through the bottom of the top. It's like encased, so it really cinches in there. I am not concerned at all when I get in the water in this. I know that like I can swim. I can swim, but I know that being in the water, I will feel very comfortable. I'm not necessarily the type of girl to wear a bikini top as part of like a just everyday going out type outfit, but this is both this and the caramel, but specifically this one, are designed to act as both a bralette and a bikini top. So should you want to wear this as part of a top, a layering piece, I feel like that's another added bonus, that this does look more like your typical camisole style bralette sort of situation. And once again, this is in the white, but it is not see-through. This is using a 2mm hook though, so that could be the reason. Well, this top gave me very little issues, period, point blank, besides the fact that I do want to just bring the straps in a little bit. These bottoms, I think I remade the back part 3 times, and even on the 3rd time they're not exactly perfect. They're definitely better, but they're not perfect. Essentially what they are a high-waisted bottom that I really want to have this cool sporty detail, so it actually ties at the front, and it's so cute. And the tie is what connects the back to the front, so you feel very secure and locked in. The reason why they're looking so crumpled is because I do have elastic in them, just to also make it fit around your body even more snug and better. Now the issue with these pants is, especially with them being high-waisted, they need it to kind of like into your butt a little bit, and the caramel pair do it perfectly because they do have that sort of V-shaping. Initially I wasn't doing the V-shaping on these, then I figured out that's what I needed, and then figuring out the V-shaping to like amount of exposed butt ratio was a bit tough. Initially I had way too much coverage to where it was just looking like an adult diaper, and now I would say I have closer to too little coverage. I still feel decently comfortable wearing this, but I do think I'm going to undo the back part one more time and just make it maybe the same width as the front. I think if I make it the same width as the front, that'll be perfect, because currently it into my butt perfectly, but I just want it to like spread over the cheeks a bit more. And it also has a weird like arch shaping at the top, if you can see from the initial V shaping, so I want to get that squared away too. Now let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. When I initially made this piece, okay, a baddie. Putting this whole set together, this whole look, this is something I would easily walk out the house wearing. For like a little dinner moment, a little dinner going out moment. But what happened was, when I was in Hawaii, I went out at the photos, I wore these in the water to get some cute little photos, and this got soaked. this got drenched. And the weight of the water on this particular yarn, this cardigan was already starting to stretch out. I did not use, so throughout this process, I was using two different types of yarn. One yarn that was like my it's the right weight but not my preferred yarn, and one yarn that was like, this is my perfect yarn. All of the swimsuits were made out of my this is my perfect yarn, and all of my first samples were made out of my yarn, besides the pink skirt and the yellow cardigan. This blue cardigan was technically the first sample of this, and it's perfect. I've literally worn it 1,000 times. It has not stretched out, so I know it's an issue with the yarn and not an issue with the design, which is completely fine. I wouldn't sell my customers this yarn anyways because it's a bit on the warmer side. But anyways, I was so sad as I was noticing how much this was stretching out as I was wearing it. And this was kind of like my comfort cardigan throughout the summer, I would say. It was the perfect cover up when I was at the pool, and I didn't necessarily need to like be wearing pants to cross the street over to the pool. It was the perfect piece to bring to the airport as kind of like my layering piece for like flying on a chillier flight, and it was so perfect in Hawaii until it got drenching wet and stretched out. So while I love the idea, unfortunately I'm going to have to use this yarn in something else with a much smaller hook to hopefully help it to not stretch out this bad, because I mean, and it gives me an excuse to make another version of this, so I mean, it's fine. The OG version, I'm not showing on purpose, I love it, but it has like flowers all over, so I was trying out a plain version and I'm still not sure if, I am sure. I love the plain version. Maybe I'm gonna have to make a plain version and a flower version. I don't know, but getting back into the tops, this is the second version of my mesh halter top in the most beautiful teal color. I love this color. This is actually one of the first colors, not the same brand, but colors that I actually, throwback, I'll put a photo right here of one of my first like me-made designs. It was not the same yarn, but I literally love this color. This top, it's pretty much perfect. It uses my ideal yarn, so it is so soft, it is so comfortable, not see-through at all. My girls feel nice and supported, but also not like super exposed to the world. I did in fact get to wear this top a few times this summer. I want to say I finished it towards the end of May, beginning of June. The only issue, I mentioned in the mint one that the straps or the tie in the back was too short. So I overcompensated. I overcompensated and now the strap is far too long. So I've been very much procrastinating fixing that. I will fix it, but I've been putting it off. I've also been putting it off because I'm not sure if I want to keep the corset back or if I want to change to a two-tie back, but I think this video has actually convinced me that I do like the corseted back. It does add a little bit more back coverage. I mean, your back is still out, but it's not like as out as if it was just a single tie, and I really like how it cinches up here. Two ties could kind of do that, but not nearly as effective. All in all, I love this top. You will definitely be seeing more of this top this year, and no notes besides the ties, but that's a common problem for me. So I actually made the top to match the skirt. I initially made this skirt back in 2023 to match the cardigan, but I wasn't happy with it. I think it might have been too long initially. So then I went through a process of trying to shorten it, which I definitely like the length better, but there's something about the fit. I think similarly to the purple pants, I want to add elastic because I think I just want this a bit more cinched at the waist to also help it from the nature of crochet is to stretch, but at least for my items, when you wash it, it goes back to its original size, except for the white sweater. I do have plans to, at the very least, go into the waistband and add elastic. I also need to completely do the waistband low key because it's off center and because there are slits on both sides. It is very noticeable how off center the tie is. As for the slit, I do feel like it's a little short, and I wonder if a longer slit, more of a 3-inch, might be better. So you will be seeing this skirt again and this top, maybe for like a fixing my imperfect projects type video, just because I think the base of them are good and I love the color. I think that they're starting to do what I want them to do, but they're not quite there yet. This top is pretty much there. It's really just a tie. But the skirt is not quite there yet. For the most fun element, this bag that I finished around the same time as I did the pink floral bag. As I've already mentioned, that blue cardigan has the should I just try on the cardigan? That's all I had to say. But as you can see on this cardigan, there are these cutesy little dainty flowers sewn on, and I was trying to achieve that with this bag, but on the sewing on process, I feel like I spread them out a bit more. So I just feel like on the cardigan they held their petal shape, whereas on the bag they look a bit more circular, which has everything to do with how I sewed them on. I don't love that bag for this reason. I do like how I placed the flowers better besides the back. The back is just kind of hard, but especially on the front and on the sides, I really like how I placed the flowers. You can't tell, but this teal color is different from this teal color. This teal is the same as what I'm wearing, and then the bag was made out of the same teal that I made that OG halter top out of. So it made a fun, very slight contrast, but if you know, you know. It is slightly different. I want her to also slay along with this look, but I fear she doesn't slay as hard. I just don't know what the process would be like to try to undo all of my stitches that attach the flowers to this bag, and I've been procrastinating. I don't know. Hi, it's the next day, which is actually fitting because the second half of this stuff is sort of when I was working through a lot of stuff in my personal life that ended up fueling my creativity, and the things that I made during this half of the year, so like end of July through the first week of January, are some of my favorite things that I've ever made and my most used things. So let's continue. Here we have another mesh maxi skirt. After everything that I experienced this summer in my personal life, I very quickly realized that my dreams of re-releasing NYGC Swim was not happening in 2024, but I still had all these ideas and improvements that I wanted to make on things I'd made earlier in the year. So I was really like battling myself as to whether I should keep trying to work on this collection, even if I wasn't probably going to get it out this year, or if I should move on to fall things. And it was honestly quite the battle, but this skirt was kind of in the background. I worked on it kind of like bit by bit over the course of a few months. July and August in particular, I really focused on getting it done, and it is literally perfect. All the things that I want to fix about the pink version got done here. This one is slightly longer, it's slightly more fitted, so it just hugs better, and so even as it does stretch out a little bit, it still maintains a more fitted feel. I made the skirt slightly longer so it's not like that weird maxi midi length. I think I did adjust the mesh paneling on this also, so I like the proportions better. All in all, 10 out of 10. I did get the chance to wear this to the beach when I went at the beginning of October. Loved. It was wonderful. So very happy with how this turned out. Of course, I had to make a matching shirt. I had hopes and dreams of making a matching bikini as well, but I only had enough yarn for the top. And as you can see, it's kind of a combination of the white NYGC bralette and the teal and mint mesh halter tops. Just for this fun and funky look, of course, backless as it would be. I do feel like I did a better job on this version getting that tapering right so that the sleeves feel nice on the shoulder, and I hope to replicate that in a future version of the NYGC bikini top slash bralette. As a set, I mean, she's stunning. Number one, this color, love. But in general, just like as a set, especially because the skirt is a maxi skirt and so you are so covered, having a more, like the illusion of a more covered front, but then your back is completely out, I feel like pairs very well for summer and hotter months. No other thoughts besides love. I will definitely be making one more sample, at least one more sample of the skirt and the top as a set, but I've yet to decide what color I want to add. Let me know if you have any thoughts in the comments. Also in August, completely on accident, I ended up making this bag, which became my number one bag for 2024. This is the first iteration of my bow shoulder bag. I, like all the other pieces, do have a video documenting me making this. It started because my friend's birthday was that day, or we were celebrating that evening, and I wanted to make her a bandana, but the bandana I was making wasn't quite working out, and I still had like the desire to create something. I was like, you know what if I made a bag to go out tonight? Because usually I just bring my NYGC handbags when I go out, but I was wanting something that was more hands-free, that I could just, you know, slip on my shoulder and it could fit a good amount, and this literally ended up being perfect. However, the bag itself is kind of like wonky in the sense that like it's a little bit too tall, the strap is maybe a little bit long, but it was a good base to create perfection. I ended up working on the design and creating a real small version that is the perfect size. It fits wallet, phone, keys, lip gloss. Not quite a yarn project, but it does fit a needlepoint project for me. These bags are my number one bags for the remainder of this year. I do of course still use my NYGC handbags, but on a day-to-day basis, I just find these bags a lot easier to just throw and go. You know, I also decided to come out with a slightly larger size. So this is the medium NYGC handbag, definitely more similar to like the classic baguette size and length. I don't really have a preference between which size I prefer. However, I would say more people tend to lean towards the medium, but I like them both. Just to give you an up close, this is like a functional tie. Usually I don't really untie it though. I just like reach in between the straps. Love it. No notes. If you want like a size comparison, like so. Love them. Even though I was very much so entering a creative rut where it took me 5,000 years to get anything done, the fact that these came out of it, dare I say, made it worth it. Dare I say, I don't know. Continuing on with the trend of bags, I think because at this point in time, we're moving into like August, September, October, where clearly I was kind of working on the NYGC swim stuff just like getting more of my ideas out. But at the same time, I was like, this kind of feels pointless. I was also starting to like want to work on more things for my website, which those bags are available on my website. And I was wanting to just work through some new ideas. And out came this beautiful NYGC shoulder bag. This is a needlepoint bag, similar to my NYGC handbags, except this one is actually made out of ribbon as opposed to yarn. I've always wanted to come out with a shoulder bag version of the NYGC handbags. However, because the yarn, when it rubs against your clothing, it creates pilling that can be removed, but it does create a bit of pilling. I want to make sure that I had a material that, you know, could be against your clothing and not have that same effect from the static. And so I came up with this prototype. It's kind of a blend between the YSL 9 to 5 bag, I think, something like that, as well as the Stod beaded shoulder bag, I think is what it's called. This is still in its like prototype form, and I never got a chance to make another prototype. However, I will be working on another one very soon, but I really like it. I like the thickness. I know I need to make this strap a little bit longer so it's not in your armpit, and I'm trying to decide how I feel about this size. If I want to do a similar thing like the bow shoulder bags and have a mini size like this, or like a small size and then a slightly more medium / larger size. That's what I'm currently leaning towards, because I do still like this size. But yeah, the other thing is, like, I feel like this is as thick as I want it to go. I'm not sure if I would want to go. This is currently either 1.5 inches or 2 inches. I think it's 2 inches. So I don't know about 3 inches, you know? There's definitely some kinks to work out, but she's very cute. I wish that you could feel through the camera how soft these pants are. Speaking of which, here are my lounge flare pants. These pants are literally perfect. The only thing wrong with them is they might be ever so slightly too long, maybe like 1 inch too long, so probably go back and fix that. But they are the perfect lounge pant. Perfect. Once I was starting to like adjust the fact that I had moved, and I was looking at my yarn all around me, and I saw how many skeins of this soft blue Karen Simply soft yarn I had, I just knew a pair of pants were calling me, and I need to redeem myself from the first pair of pants that I made this year. These are perfect. If you look at the waist, it does have a functional tie, but I went back after a little bit of just like looking at them and like wearing them occasionally. I went back in and added an elastic, and the elasticated waistband plus tie combination, golden. Absolutely golden. Even if these pants weren't tied, like, they stay up on my waist very nicely. I still haven't worn them too much just because they are a bit long, and so I need to fix that. I did wear them on Christmas Day just because I was casually being around my house, and they were so comfortable. They are on the warmer side, not as warm as those first blue pants, but not as breathable as the purple ones, but the perfect in between. I would liken them to a sweat pant. I 1000% do have plans to make more of these and use this kind of as the model for the future of NYGC pants, just because I feel like they are the perfect balance between a more casual loungy fit versus, or along with, if I create like a fun and funky top. This does actually technically have a top that matches it that I made in 2022. But depending on what your top half is, I feel like you could dress this up a bit. I'm very excited to play around with this style and even play around with this yarn. I was very worried, to be honest, about using the Caron Simply Soft yarn as something for pants, just because while I like the texture of the Caron Simply Soft, I do find that sometimes it can get a little, I guess staticky is the best way, like a little bit fuzzy. But these pants have been doing so well. I've washed them a few times now. Yes, I wash my crochet clothing in the washing machine. Now I have enough clothes that I wear on rotation, so I only wash crochet clothing together for the most part, but I do. And I'll even put it in the dryer. And I would recommend air drying, but if you want it to be really cozy, you know, just pop it in the dryer. These pants are amazing. I have not given them the airtime that they deserve this year for various reasons, but I do plan to pull them out quite a bit this year, as well as make more and more pairs. Finishing up those pants really unlocked something in me. I think I finished them at the very end of October, beginning yeah, towards the end of October, and I started working on the cardigan simultaneously. This is my NYGC cardigan. She was formerly known as the Tea Party cardigan. This was my OG. I created this design back in 2020. Basically just wanting a staple cardigan for my brand that had a slightly different look from some of the other crochet cardigans that were really popular at that time. Something that I really love about this cardigan in particular is my beautiful ruffled sleeve with rib cuff. The ruffles are what got the biggest update in my 2.0 version. I just felt like a lot of my other pieces had this sort of like clean finish, structured element to them, and the original ruffles were a bit more flouncy type vibe. So having a more reinforced ruffle, I feel like also kind of gives this more of like a cardigan jacket feel, as opposed to just like a cardigan, and it'll justify the price a bit better. But yeah, I've literally worn this cardigan 1,000 times since I finished it. It is in my weekly rotation. It is so extremely warm. Like wearing this with a tank top, I can wear it from 60-degree weather when I was in LA down to 40-degree weather, and if I put a turtleneck under, I can wear this easily in 30-degree weather. I am the type of girl that I do not like pulling out a real jacket. I will do anything to not wear a real jacket. So having as thick of a layering piece as this is perfect for my wardrobe. Another thing that I updated is these buttonholes, which are literally perfect, you guys. I have been scared of buttonholes since I first made this cardigan in 2020. I couldn't quite get it right, so I switched over to snaps like you guys saw in the earlier cardigans. But as I was working on this, I was like, I just can't. Like, I don't feel like sewing on these snaps. I need to figure out another way, and I love it. I literally love it so much. It adds something to it where I can just wear it all buttoned up to give it more of like a sweater feel. And yeah, she's perfect. Perfect. And she will be coming to my website very soon. The updated version. Currently the regular version is still on my website, but I know the girlies want the updated one. Who wouldn't? Slay. Talk about a labor of love. This is my alphabet soup cardigan. I will give you more of a close-up, but as you can see, I did like a reverse version of filet crochet, where essentially filet crochet is usually more of a mesh base, and then you use regular double crochet to like create images and letters and things like that. I wanted a more opaque base, so I did a regular double crochet base with the mesh as the detail, and as you can see, you can spell out my brand, NYGC, or Not Your Grandma's Crochet. And the whole cardigan is made up of these panels, and you guys, this freaking cardigan took me on a ride. Okay, it all started in September, I believe. The first week of September, I was pet sitting for my friend's parents, and I brought all this yarn with me. I had just moved back home and I was excited to start a new project, and I had the idea to do something like this for a while. I actually made like mock squares of the letters back in 2023 while I was still at school. I was like, you know what? This is the time I'm going to conquer this project. And boy, did it take me for a ride. You can watch the full YouTube video or process vlog that I have. I think it's called I Hate Granny Squares or something like that, because I do hate granny squares. I enjoy the look of them sometimes, especially the flower ones. I love a flower granny square, but they're just not quite for me. However, I love the sort of tiled look of how a granny square project is put together, but with some tweaks. And so this cardigan is my version of it, and it is literally perfect in every single way. I really love the wider kind of like boat neck neckline. I love the sleeve. I love that like the tie portion of it is very subtle, but I literally couldn't imagine stitching together this whole cardigan. Like having the ties just sort of like adds that extra oomph. I will say my front ties are a bit too long. We will go back and fix that eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later. But something I especially love is this wider ribbing or longer ribbing that I ended up doing both on the arm and on the sleeve. I feel like it gives like this fun 80s 90s vibe. 80s definitely because of the color, and 90s more so because of the cardigan aesthetic. If you know me, you know I do not play with color. I am a monochrome girl through and through, and this was the first project that I kind of allowed myself to have fun and just make use of the yarn that I already had in my stash and create something fun, funky, and fresh. And I literally love her, and I do in fact have plans to make another one very, very soon, because I want this to be a part of my next website update. I never turned around. That is the alphabet soup cardigan. Isn't that the perfect name? Love her. Because I updated the original length, obviously I had to update the cropped NYGC cardigan. Once again, this was just an update to an existing cardigan that I already have. I made sure to add these beautiful, I just really love them because the structure, it gives ruffle, but it also gives almost like flower petal. The big thing that I want to fix is that in my OG NYGC cardigans, I felt like my sleeves would get dirty quite often, just because one, like the sleeve length was a bit too long, two, the cuffs weren't quite right, but three, the ruffle was so flouncy that it would just like fall in your food. But because this is so structured within itself, your wrist really like stops it, and so I can very much so eat without being too concerned about getting any messes. I also do just love the cropped length of this. It goes just under or above my belly button, so if I'm wearing high-waisted pants, you can see the slightest slither of my belly. This one in particular, I've really been enjoying wearing buttoned up. I'm still getting used to the buttonholes on some of these, I cannot lie. But like so, like, hello? No. Hello. You can't tell me this isn't cute. We love her. I do. This will also be a part of the website update, and I would love to come out with colorful versions of both of these, but that might be a later down the road thing. I don't want to put off the website update just to like be adding more things that I can add post. Love her. And I also love the color. This cardigan originally was a longer version. If you watched the video, it was the Can I Crochet a Cardigan in 48 or in 2 days or something like that. Originally this was supposed to be my second sample of the original cardigan, but the dimensions were all wrong. And even like looking at me with the longer version versus the cropped version in this color, I just feel like this color is perfect for a little cropped moment. It's just my opinion, I don't know. We have reached the final 2 pieces of this year, and I fear you're not ready because you guys literally have not seen it unless you're on my Instagram. Project vlogs are coming out after this video for both the pieces I'm about to show you. Hello. You know what, that cardigan, when I tell you that alphabet soup cardigan unlocked a piece of my brain that had been struggling for years to figure out how to pair colors together in a way that was wearable for me. When I tell you that cardigan unlocked a whole new realm of possibility of design, I now see the light. I still love a monochrome moment, but I can now appreciate how much adding multiple colors and pattern really just like boost up a design. This is my basic mini skirt, which is available on my website, but in a fun striped design. I really love these stripes because they're a variegated stripe, if you can see, and there's actually 3 different colors using these brown tones. As you guys will see in the vlog when I post it, this skirt put me through it. This was not the original idea, let me tell you. Between dealing with trying to just use what I had in my stash, fit issues, so many different things, I am so happy with how it turned out. My biggest things were that I wanted the brown to be kind of like the main color, which is why I have it as the waistband as well as the lining on the slits. I did end up wearing this on New Year's Eve. Here's my look. I do live in Atlanta, so New Year's Eve isn't super cold. I think it was like 50, high 40s, so wearing this plus the long sleeve was actually very perfect between walking around outside and being indoors. Literally the perfect outfit, and you can bet your bottom dollar that I want to make more of these. But I don't think you're ready for this last piece. I don't think you're ready for this last piece. Can I just have a moment of silence? Now, technically I finished this piece, what, 2 days ago? So this is technically my first piece of January, but it's a part of the set, okay? You can't separate the set. And she was a little bit delayed, but not denied. Girl, do you see how this looks? Do you see how this looks? I flabbergasted. It's not even the word. Let's talk about some of the details. So we do once again have the same stripe pattern going through all the panels and the sleeve. It is another one of my tied up designs, which, just to throw in there in case you guys have never seen any of my videos before, as you've seen throughout this year, I, as a designer, someone who freehands all my designs, I build upon things constantly. So while something might start off as very much so a basic monochrome moment or not textured moment, it's just because because I'm coming up with the design completely from scratch, completely through my measurements, I need a basic silhouette to begin to like paint. Like that basic silhouette essentially acts as a canvas and allows me to get more comfortable with doing more abstract, fun and funky things as I get more comfortable with just making a new silhouette. And so when I created this tied up cardigan design at the beginning of 2023, I loved it monochrome. I honestly didn't necessarily imagine having 2 new iterations that I created just this year alone, but it's the perfect canvas for creating a fun, sort of like boxy, slightly oversized fit that still feels like feminine. Even the boys are loving this look, which I love. Go off, slay. It brings me so much joy to know that I am able to use designs that I came up with to create new and better iterations. It's everything. Another detail are these beautiful pearl buttons. I had no plans on doing the pearl buttons. I thought I had brown buttons, but the brown I had didn't quite work. So I decided to go for these beautiful pearl buttons, which I think adds like a nice like elegant moment, which really I just love, because it means that it's going to be easy to dress this cardigan up or wear it casually. With what I do, I'm usually wearing it casually, but I do have times where I need to be able to dress something up in a more business casual type way, and this button detail is perfect. Another thing that I feel like I've really got right is the collar. If you remember, on both the mesh tied up cardigan and the regular mesh cardigan, I feel like the collar was slightly weird, so I tried something new where I increased as I go to get more of like this pointy situation, and I just feel like the collar looks, if I have it correct, I just feel like the collar looks a lot more prominent, a lot more structured and formed and secure. Let's just take one more moment. What can I say? She slayed. What can I say? That wraps up everything that I made in 2024. As I mentioned throughout this video, 2024 was a very interesting year for me personally. I feel like it was full of a lot of personal growth that I feel thankful looking back that I was able to go through, but in the moment it was definitely hard at times. I think more than anything, I just feel so blessed and honored that despite everything I went through in 2024, I was able to use that to fuel so many fun, creative pieces that bring me so much light and life, and I just feel so happy to share. I can't wait to hopefully share them with you guys this year and make them available to purchase as a made-to-order piece. But more than anything, I feel like this year, especially on YouTube, I did such a great job of documenting every single one of these pieces, even when I wasn't necessarily feeling quite like filming. I'm so proud of myself for pushing through and still posting some sort of project vlog or something like that. I really just want to encourage other makers that there's always a pattern, there's always a tutorial, but there's also always the option of coming up with something fully from your noggin. Okay, if we're gonna spend so much time making things that are for us, why not also make things that are by us? While I will stand true to my commitment to not put out any patterns or tutorials, I hope that my progress vlogs and videos like these inspire you and encourage you and show you that you can also come up with some really fun and funky things to create a wardrobe that you love to wear and share with the world, and maybe even sell. But if you keep it as a hobby, do that too, because girl, the business part is something. I'm so appreciative to you guys. I hope that you watch more videos. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and like this video if you want to see more from me. Like I said, the next 2 videos will be about this skirt and then this cardigan. And then we gotta get into a shop update of some sort because we have things to update, that's for sure. If you want to see more of me, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Girl, I don't know how much longer TikTok's gonna be around, but in the meantime, I guess. And if you're interested in any of my made to measure, made to order pieces, you can check them out on NYGCbytaylor.com. That's all for now. Goodbye, you guys.